Hello Corkies, welcome back. We got maybe a little bit of a controversial one for you.
Oh snap.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about old versus new world wine, and we're just going to kind of riff on that a little bit. Maybe you'll learn a little bit, and hopefully you'll get something to really dive into that you've maybe never tried before. So stay tuned. Hello everybody, I'm Billy and this is Bryn from corkandjava.com. On this channel, we like to expand and enrich your experience with all of your favorite beverages. So if you're new here, consider hitting that subscribe button below so you're notified when our wine and coffee review videos come out. So today we're talking about old versus new world wine. So what is it basically in the gist?
So old world wines would be anything from Europe and parts of the Middle East, I suppose.
Yeah, so in the very basic context, old world is a geography.
Right.
It's where wine was originally produced historically. So think Europe, think France, Italy, Greece, Spain, Portugal,
Yep.
Even in the parts of like Syria and stuff like that as well. Where just wine has been grown for thousands and thousands of years. So another part that goes along with that is there's a lot of tradition that is in old world wines. There's even like in France and Italy and all around Europe, laws created to kind of preserve the traditions and make sure wine is produced relatively the same way that it's always been. So you know kind of what to expect in the different regions based on the labels and all sorts of things like that. And also another big thing is what's called terroir, or just kind of the region and the soil that really plays into it. And a lot of that has to do with climate. So what's the climate like in the old world style compared to new world?
It's going to be colder.
Yeah, relatively cooler climate. And typically most old world style wines, they don't do any artificial irrigation, so they kind of just let the natural weather patterns of the year occur, and so that really changes what wine you're going to get from year to year. If it's a really hot summer and not a lot of rain, it's going to be very different than a very cooler, rainier summer. So that is one of the main differences between New World and old world style. So another thing, since New World doesn't have as much tradition involved, and when you think of New World geography, think America, North America, South America, Australia, just all the places that wine went to in the New World. So another thing that New World style wines typically embrace a lot of technology, newer technology, like you got refrigerated steel fermenters and all sorts of great things to help you get a really nice, juicy, fruity product. And they can really crank out wines that are very similar year to year in places like California, as long as the temperature swings and stuff aren't extremely drastic out of normal. So what are some of the key characteristic differences between New World and Old World wines, would you say?
New World wines are going to be fruitier, as he said. The grapes will be riper.
A lot of times they're more full-bodied wines. So this Bordeaux, which is mostly Merlot, and it's like 85% Merlot, 10% Cabernet Sauvignon, and 5% Cabernet Franc. And those are all really full-bodied grapes. But because it's from France and it hopefully is going to have a lot of the old world characteristics to it, I'm hoping, it'll be a little bit lighter bodied than you would get from those same grapes in like California, let's say, where it's going to be warmer. All right, so some other characteristics of New World style wines, like she said, you're going to get fruit bombs from it. You're going to get things like the blueberries, the cherries, the really jamminess wines in there. And some things you're going to get with old world style wines, possibly dirt. mineral.
Yeah, earthy.
Earth, you really taste the place that it's coming from and the climate of the season. A lot of times you'll get like leather, tobacco, bark, like that kind of characteristics in old world style wines. And so if you're new to wine, that could be a little bit off-putting, but if you're kind of adventuresome, especially if you like pairing with food, old world style wines is something you definitely want to try and explore. But it's good to both have their place. I wouldn't say one's better than the other, although there's some people who are kind of fuddy-duddy and go, oh, I only do the traditional old world wines. I don't know. There's always a place for new world wine, especially with the California Wine Club. Yeah, so we just got our second shipment from California Wine Club, and if you're new to wine and you don't know where to start, a wine club is the perfect way to jumpstart your experience with wine. They're going to send you a ton of information about the wine you're getting and have your own personal wine consultant to ask any questions you want, and they'll take your feedback as well to really send you other wines that are best suited to your taste. So it's a great way to just start with wine if you've never experienced wine at any depth before and you really want to get a little bit deeper into it. We'll put a link down in the description where you can get some sweet deals for starting off at the California Wine Club. So go check it out.
What's also awesome is that if you're like us on the East Coast and you don't get to go out to California to try small wineries, different wines that they have, this is your chance to taste what's going on the West Coast. So it's something that is not going to be in your neck of the woods if you're like us on the East Coast. You get to try something new.
These aren't the California mass-produced wines. They go to like small family-owned wineries. So you're not going to be able to find these bottles unless you're local to those areas or you're in this club. So that's what I really like about it. Anyway, let's try this and see if it has more of a new world style or an old world style, because it's kind of, the line is not drawn in the sand like it used to be. There's a lot of places in Europe in the old world that are adapting to some newer technology influences in from California and different places to kind of keep up with the American market of what our taste is, because we're a very big consumer of wine here in the US, but also places like California and other places around the world that would be considered New World are also developing techniques to try to get their wines to taste a little bit more Old World and be a little bit more food friendly. So you got kind of gray areas going on now in a lot of the wine world. So it's possible that this could have a lot of New World characteristics, even though it is an Old World wine. So just a little close up there of what we're tasting. It's a Bordeaux. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the Bordeaux region?
Sure. Bordeaux is a region in France, and it's divided into two banks. There's the left bank and the right bank, and one is predominantly Merlot grapes, and then the other one is predominantly the Cabernet Sauvignon grapes. And so this one, as he said before, is primarily Merlot, but there is a mixture of Cab Franc and Cab Sauv grapes in this one.
Yep. So yeah, let's take a look at the color.
Okay.
It's a nice ruby, dark purpleness to it. It's a very nice color.
Yep.
It's got a lot of legs on the side of the glass sticking to it.
Yep.
So this one might have been a good one to decant for a little while, but we'll see. Let's give it a little sniff.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a fruit bomb like something you would get in California.
Yeah, it smells earthy to me. Definitely.
I'm getting like leather, kind of like you pull out like your wallet and just sniff it right out of your pocket. Still has a little bit of that like pocket hot sweatiness from the summer in it.
That sounds delicious.
No, but seriously, and I mean, some old world style wines, you'll go, it smells like dirty socks.
Yeah.
This is smells like right out of my hamper, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. So it's a lot of old world style wines, because you're not going to get those huge hits of fruit. There's a lot more complexity built in. So that's one of the interesting things about Old World that I like. I tend to gravitate towards a lot of the Old World style wines just for the levels of complexity, and not necessarily because all of it is super like, oh, I love the flavor of sock, but it's interesting. I feel like you're just drinking and experiencing the place that the wine comes from more than just a fruitiness experience.
And you did mention that, has legs that's sticking to the glass a little bit. Old World wines tend to be a little bit lower in alcohol by volume in the bottle. This one is like 12, I think.
12 and a half.
12 and a half. Whereas New World wines will tend to have a little bit more alcohol.
Yeah, and that's mainly because of the climate. With a hotter climate in most New World wines, you're going to get fruits that have a higher concentration of sugar. So that's just one difference there, and that definitely comes in on the alcohol percentage as well as flavor. All right, you want to take a taste?
Yeah, I'm ready to try it.
All right.
That's really nice. Wow, that's really smooth.
The oak is a lot more subtle than you get on a lot of full-bodied reds in the United States. It's particularly California. But yeah, it is really smooth.
This is really nice.
You can really smell just even the tannins in there.
This makes me want a grilled steak with some like butter thrown on top. This is just like perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, this is like probably my 3 top favorite grapes all in a bottle together. So
yeah,
perfect.
On the aftertaste, I am getting a little bit of like vanilla pipe tobacco kind of taste to it. And the tannins are there. They're not as punch you in the face as like a New World, but that mixed with some of the acidity just lingers a really long time in your mouth, and you get little bits of different kind of flavors coming in and out for like 30 seconds after taking a sip, which is one really cool thing about this wine.
Yeah, it's great flavor. It's bold, but it's not like overpowering,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not getting a smokiness, but I am getting kind of like a leaves, kind of like vegetal kind of.
It's definitely like dirt tasting. Like it has that element to it.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard to describe like what dirt tastes like in wine. It is just something you have to pick up or try at a tasting, something from like the Bordeaux region or something similar. And it's really going to depend on the region within the region that you're trying, the particular chateau or whatever winery you're getting it from. But this is, I think, a really good example of a pretty entry-level Old World wine. This one isn't going to be very off-putting for people who haven't experienced Old World wines before, but it's getting into the realm of it. It's if you've only really used to California wines and like big, bold California wines, this is definitely going Bordeaux is definitely a place to kind of dip your toes a little bit into the Old World.
Yeah.
Comment below on what your favorite style is. Is it the Old World style? Do you like that traditional taste and just experience? Or do you like the New World wines, and why? I want to know down in the comments. Maybe you like both. That's me. I like both, depending on the circumstance and what I'm pairing it with. It just really depends. There's great wines in both categories.
I agree. I like both too. All right, well, that's going to do it for us here at Cork and Java. Make sure you find us online. We've got a Facebook group, Cork and Java. We're on Twitter, at Cork Java, and then on Pinterest. We have tons of boards that will be interesting to you. Anything coffee, wine, other, spirits related boards and recipes and reviews. So make sure you check that out. We're looking forward to seeing you online.
Yep. Until next time, guys. Bottoms up.